Thanks for joining us at this Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 regularly scheduled board meeting. We're going to start at 5:30. We're going to say the pledge first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Randy, roll call, please.
Treasurer Rickauer is absent, excused. Trustee Winslow.
Present.
Trustee Kidda. Trustee Kidda.
Here.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
You want to be excused for a minute? We can kind of.
Let's see if he threw it away. No?
I thought John took it.
Oh, you'll find it.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
So Clerk Rattari is here and Supervisor Durant.
Yes, here.
Staff present is just Manager King is tonight. So that's it.
Alrighty. Let's start with public comment. Excuse me.
I found it, John.
Oh, good. Good evening, everybody. For those of you who may not know, my name is Lise Descharlet. I'm here representing the Marquette County Conservation District, where I serve as the Invasive Species Coordinator for the Central Upper Peninsula. I have been asked to come tonight because I have a little bit of an update on some of the projects we've been working on in conjunction and partnership with the township for the past few years, but especially this summer season. Earlier this spring, we were able to put a native seed mix down underneath the solar panels for the township buildings here, and I have heard that those are going really well. We were able to do some monitoring as well on our pilot program in the corridor project, and I am so happy to say we had blooms this year. We had actual flower blooms, so the native seed mix certainly takes a lot longer in that type of an environment where there is poor soil, drainage comes through and does a lot of washing rather than seeping, which is actually one of the metrics that we're trying to improve with that planting, is to get a little bit more percolation in the ground instead of stormwater runoff. And so I think those seeds really took their sweet old time getting established, but we actually have full-on flower blooms I saw 3 different species out there from our seed mix blooming before the corridor got mowed recently. So we are making progress. I think it is actually a really, really cool, yes, this can work. It will take time and patience, and we might need to do a higher rate of seeding for sure to maybe get a little bit more success. But this is considering also our first spring of this program was last spring, where we had extreme drought for almost 2 full months of our summer season last year. So these seeds survived that long and still had viable flowers and seed heads coming out of that. So I think it's really cool. I think it is a step forward and a successful, look, we can have our corridor be beautiful native plants instead of full of weeds and or bare patches of unsightly soil. So that's really cool. And then a final update is that we are well underway with our butterbur project. That is the really looks like giant rhubarb elephant ear project. We've had numerous landowners throughout the township sign up for our free treatment program, and so that treatment has actually been occurring over the last couple days this week as we've had good weather the last few days. We will be pausing that until next week, just so now we have a couple rain days, and we don't conduct treatments if there's going to be any rain in the forecast as best management practice. So we will pick that up and finish everybody next week, and then they are all eligible to have native wildflowers and native seed mix to replace those treatment areas where there's been invasives removed. We want to put native plants back in. So that's our butterbur project that's been going really well. And then a new species that's kind of just in the area. I don't know if anybody's been on the corner of Warner and Commerce over here. There's that really big tall grass in the drain that the Drain Commission has been aware of, and it's non-native Phragmites, and we were able to get that treatment done actually this morning. So that also has had some work on it to help our drain system out. So it was just a really quick update on everything we've been doing this season, some really fun success stories, which I'm really happy to share with everybody. And I don't know if there is allowed or time for questions, but I'd be happy to field any if that's allowable at this point. So,
John?
Elise, can you talk briefly too about the progress you've made on the seed acquisition front?
Yes. So when we were first partnered with this project, the native seed supplier that we knew of was native seed is very difficult to grow and a very pricey commodity. So we were coming in at some of these seed mixes costing upwards of $1,000 an acre, and luckily we didn't need a full acre even over there, but it was a really hefty price tag for a seed mix. And as I've actually just done a little bit more research over the years and tried to source seed mixes for other grant programs that we have going, we were able to secure a different, just as reputable funding source, seed source, to stretch funding dollars that much further, and they come in somewhere between $200 and $500 an acre rather than $1,000 an acre. So you can get that much more seed going that much further within everybody's budget capacities. So we're really happy, and that actually is Pheasants Forever. It's a national conservation organization that is really helpful, does a lot of really great boots on the ground activities. So we're really happy to have reputable seed sources that's making everybody's wallets breathe a little bit easier too. So yeah.
That's great.
Remember that first
Sorry. Go ahead.
bunch of seed that we purchased was purchased with grant money through the county, so while it was expensive, it wasn't township taxpayer money that was spent, and hopefully, as this progresses, we'll find more ways to make it even more affordable, not entirely on the backs of the township taxpayers.
And the county did ask for an update periodically, so I will do
Yep.
that. I'll get a letter out to them saying that there is hope.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's
That's
really-
I love delivering good news. That's definitely something that I look forward to.
Dan?
What do you what do you have against, I guess, the elephant ear rhubarb type plants?
Sure. So invasive species have to really check two boxes when we consider them invasive, and that is they have to be both non-native to our region, but they also have to be causing harm in some capacity. And so not everything that's non-native causes harm. My favorite example is apple trees. Are not native to North America, but they're an economic driver, they're a health food, they're a commodity, all that fun stuff. So even though they're not native, they're not causing any harm. They're not also causing ecosystem harm. We're not seeing apple trees crowding out our forests and letting nothing else grow. And that's really actually what this plant is doing. Those plants are so big and so aggressive that they are basically like, if you got down like hands and knees and looked underneath the stand of that, it's bare soil except for the stalks of these. So nothing else is growing. And where we're finding it growing is like along Badger Creek Drain. And you may have seen our establishment at the NTN Trails on BLP property. It's a riparian zone that's all run off into our rivers. So when there's nothing filtering that water or slowing it down, it's really a detriment to like our streams, our runoffs, and then it's not providing any ecological value to our ecosystems. There's nothing eats it. It's not providing any, it's not like the monarchs and their milkweed. It has no ecological value. So it's really just degrading all of our ecosystems, being non-native and being that invasive. So
I've got it on my property, and
would you like it managed?
I'm on Badger Creek, and I use it as a buffer,
You sure? Yeah.
and we keep it controlled. It's not going any farther between my neighbor
That's
and I.
good to hear. Yep.
And we were just talking about it today.
Yeah.
And I mean, you walk in there and they're almost 6 feet tall.
I mean, it is a cool plant. We call it like the Jurassic Park plant. Like, it's nothing personal against the plant. It's just.
Okay, well, I enjoy having it there as a buffer.
Okay.
And we
Sure.
keep it mowed before it gets into the creek.
Sure.
And so it's filtered that way, I guess, through the part of the lawn that's there.
Yeah, yep.
And no, we kind of enjoy it.
And that's if it's not being that aggressive and you're able to contain it, I'm happy to hear that. It's places like the Trail Network where it just is like overtaking.
Wright Street is a prime example.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's it was brought in originally as an ornamental plant, and so it was exactly for that. We like it in our yard. We like what it's doing. It's not that aggressive, and all of a sudden it got that aggressive. So
I don't know how it ever got where it's at, but I've been there for 40 plus years, and
Yep.
it's always been there. And
Yep.
we use it to our advantage, I guess, as a buffer between
if
my
it's
yard.
behaving itself and staying in check and you enjoy it, I'm happy to leave it for
First
you.
cross and it's down on the ground.
As soon as it starts getting out of bounds, though, that's when we got to make a phone call.
We keep it contained.
Thank you, appreciate that.
How about the spotted knapweed? We've got tons of it all over, in
Yeah.
my subdivision, it's actually eating into the tar in the road.
Yeah, that one's a very tricky one. That one we've basically started to manage where it is both feasible, cost effective, and like what are we, protecting with it, because it is so ubiquitous these days. So there are places where I hate to say we are kind of just letting it go, because you could go to every sidewalk crack in the entirety of the state of Michigan if you wanted to and probably find it. That being said, if there's something else more desirable to get there, like mowing down and putting potentially a seed mix of some sort down to kind of give it some competition might be a good way to buffer that out. So yeah, definitely some options. Yeah.
So I have a question. What is the highest the seed mix is going to grow? So are we
Yes.
gonna have 3-foot plants, 2-foot plants?
We aimed for the 2 to 3 foot height given safety requirements, kind of the same with the solar panels. We didn't want them growing, because there are some native plants that will grow 5-6 feet high. They are also very cool plants, but also we recognize that it's a safety measure in the corridor. It could potentially impede the solar panel function, and that was something we actually discussed with MDOT when we got the full go-ahead for this pilot project, was to make sure that we were staying within a certain height limit for safety reasons.
Okay, and I just asked that because as we look at some ordinances for blight and
Yes.
lawn care, we want to make sure that we are inclusive of our native plant height.
Very much so. We've been working with actually the city of Marquette a lot to try to find a happy medium of that, because it's a similar situation. Native
Right.
plants get very tall, can look a little bit less manicured, but they're not quite weeds. And so, yeah, where do we find that happy balance for sure?
Yeah, so, okay, so we'll just check with you. We need
Yeah, please, we're happy to have a conversation at any point if, you know, that's something to be looked at in an ordinance. We could provide any guidance on native plantings, sure.
Perfect, thanks.
We've had them pick the seed mix for us, because we're not pros on that. And really, on the corridor project, it was quite simple. We had to meet MDOT's expectations.
Yeah, they kind of said that for us, but we were able to find plants that worked with it, so I was happy to.
I would expect people to start turning their lawns into something that
I love to see it.
uses less water.
Yes.
Yeah, they will.
So what's next with the corridor? We're just gonna let it go, same thing next year then maybe?
I believe so, and I think next year could be a really good, given the blooms that we saw this year, next year I think could be a, I expect, as long as conditions are in our favor and we don't have another giant drought, that we would be able to see like a flush of blooms next year, and that can really be our, it does take a good bit of time and patience, but look at the hopefully final results and we can see what that looks like. I do think it would probably need at least one more year of a mowing schedule, and then we could see what that would have to look like after that.
Okay, so 26 maybe.
26.
We thought we were gonna try to find some funds to
Yes.
do.
And that could always be
section.
something, you know, that's what we specialize in, is finding grant funds to facilitate those needs and those natural resource concerns for the county. So if that's a need and it's not in a budget, that's where we start looking for grants and start applying to grants and seeing what we can do on our end to assist.
Sure.
So yeah,
John?
That's exactly what the DDA is going to want to hear.
great.
I think they like to provide seed funds as a local match to grant money. So,
Very cool, yeah.
pardon the pun on the seed funds.
Oh, I totally thought that was a real seed fund. Never mind, okay. You did a great pun.
So keep your antennae up then.
Yes.
We'll look at 26 and
Yes,
see what we
on the
can do
horizon.
from that. Great.
So yeah,
Anything else?
Thank you.
thank
Oh,
you.
Great. Still, thanks for coming.
Yes, thanks for having me, and thanks for
Appreciate
being a wonderful partner agency to work with. It's been very cool to do all these projects in conjunction with the township, so thank you.
If you think of something else, just pop in.
Love it.
Thanks, Elise. Okay, any comments based on what you heard?
I'm glad to hear that we're finally seeing something, you know, that's.
Me too. Yeah, it
Popping
took
up
a little
here,
longer than
yeah.
I think we
Rather
wanted
than
it to.
weeds.
That's okay.
Weeds are ugly.
We gotta figure out what to do with the garbage bags, the plastic garbage bags that.
Yeah, that
end
blow
up
around.
blowing around.
Jeez, yeah.
We'll see.
I'm
One
not
thing at
sure
a
there's
time.
plants that eat plastic
Yeah,
that
there
would be
you
Yeah,
native.
yeah, there you go.
What was that on Adam's Family? He used to eat. The plant used to eat stuff. We'll try. Okay, so tonight's consent agenda, we're gonna change it a little bit. We're gonna pull, before I go through them, we're gonna pull the budget amendment resolution out and put it with 8B, so that we don't end up getting the cart before the horse.
So the 8B1,
8D.
8B.
8B1.
So,
Okay.
So tonight's consent agenda then won't include the financial, but it will include approval of regular and closed session meeting minutes of August 21st, 2024. We have bills payable in the amount of $116,736.16. We have an updated fire department roster. I have the U of M close-up survey in from August 14th, assessing our democracy and what the public officials think of that. I also did include the Northern Natural Gas information sheet on their pipelines and leaks and stuff. It just covers the western half of the UP, but they asked that we inform the public, so it doesn't cost anything to put that page in. And I did want to let you know about the Marquette County Road Commission public hearing that'll be on Monday, September 30th at 2 o'clock in their office. That will be for the abandonment of the half of Venture Drive that they're going to talk about, that they're asking for, in case you want to attend. I also put in the solid waste, it says director report, but it's not, it's the chairperson for August, what he was working on. And then we have draft minutes from the 8/13 Peter White Public Library Board meeting.
I move to accept the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we just need approval of the remainder of the agenda with the change.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Board Education privileged comment, we already talked to Elise. That was good. I appreciate her popping in at the last minute. Community linkage, I just have like 3 things to share. 3, 4. In fact, I'm gonna hand these out just for your information. And this is just a draft. But you might be aware that North Country Disposal announced that they're using their new equipment. I was aware last week they came through the subdivision with their new truck, and it's my recommendation again that we send something out to the public and tell them what's happening, so they know what to do, and we don't have arguing and angry people. They don't know what to do with their trash cans. Carl mentioned it last time too. They're not putting them in the road right. They're not doing a lot of things correct.
It's not that difficult.
I know, but I think we need to inform them because people don't know what they don't know. And
One says trash, one says recycle.
they're putting it out backwards.
Oh.
They're putting it out in the wrong part of the yard. They're putting them close together. Now with this new equipment, they have one driver. They don't want to be able to have to get out. They want to pick that thing up and dump it.
And
Go to
set
the
it
next
back.
one, go to the
Okay.
next one. So this is, North Country invested a lot of money in this truck. And they may have more than one, I'm not sure, but I know they're starting with one with us. And it's safer, it's easier, it's faster, it's cheaper. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons that hopefully we can save our people money. If nothing else, timeliness and a good job. But they're gonna get to the point where they're not gonna pick it up if it isn't right.
Good.
So we wanna help them out and make sure that they get what they need to do their job.
Well,
So-
if they don't pick it up when it's wrong, and they call up here and they say why, then we can let them know.
That's just it. I think we need to mail this out by itself in an envelope. And I know we talked about it before.
I know, but what does that cost for a mailing?
Well, we're guessing $1,000. And we have the funds in the solid waste account. Nobody has to decide this tonight, but I just thought I needed to present it again. And I would have North Country look at this and see what I'm missing or what I just threw this together today because it's easier to decide something if you have something to look at, I think. I'm a visual
Has
person.
North Country come to us and said that there's been multiple issues, or do we know even?
Not that I know of unless they call John.
The biggest issue I'm aware of is the customers that are still generating more than the average household waste. So it's more than even a large cart in some of these instances, and
Well,
where it's all coming from, I don't know, but some of these places have piles every week.
Outside the garbage can?
So their neighbors are subsidizing their garbage wherever it's coming from.
Yeah, so they just need to stop picking it up.
At some point here very soon, I think North Country has indicated if it's not in a red cart, it won't be picked up.
Good.
And this
There
is,
again.
this is their conversation with us that's causing me to do this, you know, because they've been great with us. We need to help them if they're willing to make this kind of an investment to help their own company as well as our people.
So,
Go ahead.
I do want some comments, or no?
Sure, yeah.
So we need to tell them how they can get another cart and the cost of the cart.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so, but I think before we make any comments, we should ask, the people who are picking up
Yeah,
the trash.
absolutely. Yeah, that's what I
Not
said.
necessarily the manager, but the pickup people. I'm gonna go stand outside and ask them.
Well, in a lot of cases, that's family, you know, that's their family. North Country is a family-owned company.
No, I don't think that.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
it is.
yeah.
Oh, I do know
if they're the
that,
ones
but I
picking
don't
up
know that the
trash.
people picking it up
Oh,
are their
no.
family. I actually know one of the
Yeah.
people picking them up, yeah. But anyways, I'd start with Kenny, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, this is just a draft, and the picture didn't even take. I would get a hold of North Country and see if I could get a picture of their truck.
I just, before we spent $1,000, or spent $1,000 to send this out to everybody, if we only have 10 complaints, maybe they can even write down the addresses and we can address those addresses of the people and let them know, rather than have our blight person go out and talk to them.
I'm happy to go through my subdivision, but I didn't want to do a bunch of stuff without your approval, and that's why I thought if you had something to look at and consider, we don't have to decide anything tonight, but I definitely would have a conversation with North Country and see what they think, what they recommend, if they're okay with this. But I
Yeah.
wanted to start with you guys.
And I don't think the trash has to be in a plastic bag anymore. I think most of the time you can throw your trash
Oh, I
right
don't
in.
know that.
Yeah, so let's ask them that for sure, because I
Okay.
know in other cities, and where's Ernie tonight, right? Ernie would say,
Yeah.
his kids, yeah, so I think you can throw stuff in, the can just empties into the bin.
They're not looking. They just take the covers down, they pick it up, they dump it, they put it back down.
Well, now they're physically picking up the bags and throwing them,
No,
so
that's
I
not
wouldn't
the
have
intent.
presumed that on my own. I'd have to ask them. Yeah, John?
There's a couple of schools of thought there. One is you're using a lot less plastic just to contain your waste. The opposite argument is if it's loose in the can and it's a windy day, it's ending up on the street. And I can speak from experience that does happen, especially in the winter.
And it happens now, it's been happening.
And the worst,
So I don't know what the right answer is.
There again, the lid should be shut.
yeah.
Now, the bottom line says trash should be in securely tied plastic trash bags only, no loose materials.
Yeah, but Lynn wrote
But,
that.
yeah, this is me.
She wrote
Just- This is me just
then-
typing.
You know,
So,
what, I wonder if North Country would put together a little video that we could put on our website
that's a
too.
good idea.
Sure, yeah.
A little instructional video of showing how the thing works and what has to be
Good
done.
idea.
Yeah,
then
and we
they
can
could
maybe
just
put the link or the
look
QR
at it.
code on here too. And like I said originally, maybe they'd be willing to put in a few bucks or give us something off on our bill to help them, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. How much does another cart cost, do we know that?
John, I
Do we
think,
know? No,
I don't
we
remember, it's been a few weeks.
Yeah, they're supposed to be buying other carts if they have more, they're generating more.
They're relatively inexpensive, but I think not long after we rolled them out, we ran out of what we ordered
really?
very quickly. So we have to figure out how to order more because just buying small quantities is very expensive to ship. What we had was probably a half a truckload or more. North Country, I believe has some in stock. They don't have our logo on them. Lenny was supposed to be looking into that, but it hasn't been a priority lately. There's so many other things going on, so.
Okay. Well, if you're okay with me pursuing this and working with staff, I'm happy to unless you don't like the idea.
Well, something has to be done,
I
obviously.
just want to make sure that if they're rolling something out, that it's done right for them.
Yeah, we don't want to have to do it twice.
Yeah, so that it doesn't backfire. And people are pretty good. they need to remember to close that lid on the recycling side so all the cardboard doesn't get wet. Because now then they can't sell it, once it's destroyed. You know, the plastic's okay. But- Did you have a question, John?
I have a comment. The third bullet in the instructions, face the tires towards the house and the opening towards the street.
Yeah, that's probably could be worded a little bit.
Okay, I think that's good, but I think we should add to that, follow the instructions on the lid.
Yeah, this is not a no-brainer thing. You go up and down the street and you just see.
I know, you're doing the best you
You're
can.
not
but,
paying attention,
but
hey, Carl? You know,
You can't. Well,
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. At least they can put this on the refrigerator, you know, and once it's done. Okay, thank you for that. I don't wanna beat a dead horse. The planning commission last week did receive, and I don't wanna step on your thunder.
You just go right ahead.
They, Longyear asked for a 1-year PUD extension on their project on Forestville, and it was granted.
Unanimously.
Yep. And they also had a lengthy discussion on blight, and the audience participated too, so that was good. There are a lot of people who were concerned about their neighborhood, and we like to hear that, that's good.
And
And
There is a blight ordinance being
they're
worked
working on
on.
it, yeah.
And unfortunately, we got the old ordinance in our packet, and we got the new ordinance at the meeting. So at the next meeting, we'll be giving our input from the new ordinance. And you may all want to see what the new ordinance looks like. If you would like to preview the draft, I can ask someone to send it to all of you.
We do get the packets.
email it or put.
Oh, if you get the packet
I
from the
do.
planning commission, does everyone
guys
get the
get the
planning
planning
commission?
packet?
It's not continuous for me. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Well, I'll ask that it go to the board, the planning commission said they didn't get the board packet, but they do. And so I'll ask the planning commission to send their packet to you.
I'd love to get one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm happy to do that, and I think it's important as the board to read the blight ordinance because it'll probably impact all of us.
Yeah, well, it will come back to us anyway, so.
It will before it comes back
we
to the
need-
planning
Yeah,
commission.
we need to know what's coming.
Sure, I'm happy to do that, thank you.
I did go, like I said, I think I mentioned last meeting that I've been going to the county commission meetings, because we haven't been visiting with our representative lately. And again, I think I mentioned that last meeting. We were doing that even through COVID. We were doing Zooms and stuff to make sure that Commissioner Adamini and DePietro would meet with John and me and talk about what's going on, what do we need, what are we looking for, how's everything. And we kind of got away from that, so I've just been going, because there were a few items in the last few meetings I wanted to know about. So I thought, well, I just need to go. But anyway, I did speak last night, which I don't intend to, but I did want to let them know about the tire change-up that was going to happen or is happening with the Solid Waste Authority. And I wasn't sure. I said, I know you guys don't get to go to all meetings and know all, you know, the agendas and the minutes and all that. So I just wanted to let you know that this is going to affect the county. You know, what they do out there is almost as important as what the county does because it affects everybody. It crosses all of our addresses. So I did just give them an update and let them know that there was not a lot of discussion until after the vote. And then the email came a week later and said, we're stopping this, we're not gonna go for grants. And so, I don't know, we'll see. Their next meeting is right before our next meeting too, the Solid Waste Authority. So we'll see what, 3 of the board members wanted to have more conversation. So, and I know there are people, municipal people in the county already trying to figure out, okay, how are we gonna pay for this? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna keep them out of the woods, you know? And
That's a good thing.
we need to
Keep 'em
just,
out of the woods.
we need to figure out what to do. They should have figured to have this conversation before they made a motion.
That's where Mike comes in.
See what happens when you leave?
Oh, Keeping tires out of the woods.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's all I wanted to share about that. You hearing anything from the public? Anybody stopping you in the streets? Nice and quiet, okay, good, that's good, I guess. Just assume we're doing okay. So, policy discussion 8A is to consider 2024 chip seal invoice. That should fall to the manager.
This is the work that was done as part of our annual local street pavement maintenance program as approved by the Roads Committee. Slightly modified due to the fact that we had the subsurface drainage issues on Moran. We did not chip seal Moran, we fixed the subsurface drainage issues first. Those sections will get repaved, and then I'm hoping the Roads Committee will put it back in the chip seal program next year. So the entire stretch from Commerce to Ontario will all have the same surface at that time. In exchange, all of Brickyard Road was chip sealed, not just the portion south of I'm still calling it the Best Buy roundabout. It's the one by the Meyer gas station and what's now Ride North, I believe is their name. Because we only had that small portion south of the highway before. It includes Brookton Road and Northwoods Road. The county also chip sealed County Road 492 south of the highway in the township, which is a county primary, so they paid for that. And they paid for Werner, the county primary portion, which is from Commerce to Ontario. I'm asking the Roads Committee to consider crack sealing the local portion of Werner Street next year, so that the next time they're chip sealing in the area, they can chip seal that portion as well. So anyway, all of the work that we agreed to in the end after the agreement modifications is done, and this is the total cost.
I thought I heard you say that the county paid for something.
Oh yeah, when they do the chip sealing themselves, they pay for 40%, less their administrative fee, which is better than us paying for all of it.
Yeah, that's much better.
Huh?
Thank you.
I move to approve the invoice for Marquette County Road Commission as submitted.
Support.
Okay, any other questions for John?
So do we want to say the amount so the public knows
Yeah.
the amount, John?
Is that okay to add the amount to the
We
motion?
can add the amount if you want.
Yep, it started with 66,145.11, and the discount from the road commission on what the portion they paid was 40%, 26,458.04, and they add their overhead in, and the total due from the township is $43,060.47. Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, pay the bills. Okay, now we're down to the budget amendment for the Whale Road Trailhead. John's been working feverishly on this project, and he's good at this.
Not just me,
so-
the two gentlemen in the audience, I
Sure,
think
sure.
will
Thanks for
introduce
coming.
themselves. I think you need to know who they are. They have three teammates who are also some pretty serious go-getters. They've taken an elephant and they're planning on eating it all at once. And I'm not kidding, that's the project that they've taken on. NMU students from the construction management program. And I think they should introduce themselves real quick.
Would you mind, please?
Good evening. My name is Jack McIntyre. I'm a senior in the construction management program at Northern. This semester we've been tasked with a senior project. In doing so, we had 8 different members around the county come in last week and present ideas and projects for us. From there, we decided as a team, a group of 5 of us, which one we thought would be the most interesting. And NTN and John had a great presentation, and it's a large project and it's a bit ambitious, but we do have 5 very ambitious people in our group, and we are looking to get this done here hopefully before the end of the semester, early December if possible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, my name is Marcus Chedister. I am also a member of the same project team as Jack. Our other members are Maddie Bell, Moses Waite, and Daniel Wagner. They're not able to join us tonight, but yeah, with our whole team, we've so far we got our project assignment last Tuesday night. We've met 3 times with John as well as NTN. Well, most teams have maybe met 1 time. We're ready to go. We've met internally almost, I would say, every other day at least the past week and a half in preparation of beginning work on this project. We're looking forward to getting this project done. We want this project done just as much as anyone else, and a lot of us aren't even from Marquette. We just want to get this done for the community. We know how much the NTN Trail Network and just being able to go enjoy the outdoors that Marquette provides, we know how important that is for this community, and we're looking to deliver that.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So who wants to describe what the process is?
First, this is a true public-private nonprofit education partnership. I don't think I could dream of putting something like this together without these 2 and their 3 classmates. I haven't been this excited about a project in a long time. NTN is already out clearing the site. We are paying for the site prep and a concrete slab. NTN has received a private donation for the building materials. NMU is building the project. We will have to pay some professional fees for the architect to do the site plan, and they're going to help the team as well because the structure is big enough they need to have an architect on board. I think it's only fair that we cover the professional costs. I do believe these guys are smart. They saw the original site plan that we had put together by Barry Polson Architects, Megan, and they knew they needed an architect. That's who they contacted. We were already working with her to give us a new site plan. So we already have the same professional from both sides. We met with her this morning. She's busy, but she said, we're gonna do this. We're gonna get it done. And I think it's because of the energy of these 5 students, which is pretty impressive, and I'm truly hoping that this is a sign of what our college kids are capable of these days, not an exception. But I believe we have an exceptional team. NTN reprioritized another project to put this one ahead. We will have a pavilion before we have a trailhead. We haven't even talked about next year's budget yet, where I need money for a trailhead. And I say I do, I'm just the guy that's trying to not be too much of a squirrel, right? So, pretty exciting opportunity. I think it's going to be pretty special. And the other thing is, it also helps NTN in that this structure will have some storage space on the back where they can store their winter snowmobile grooming equipment for the snow bike trails at the right part of the trail system, because further up the hill it gets more snow, different kind of snow, and they're currently storing all of the equipment right down by the lake across the river from the wastewater plant. So beneficial in far more ways than one. We will have to move the gate further down the well road, but we're still not into the wellhead protection area, which is even better. And it opens up even more space for the public to use. Give the dog walkers some new road to walk on without having to go a half a mile to get to it. And I'll tell you, every dog walker I've talked to out there has been fun to talk to about this project. I think they're almost as excited as I am. So I do hope you see the value in properly funding the pickleball project that went over budget, rightfully so that the trailhead money for this year, which was coming from the marijuana excise tax funds, can be reallocated to what you had originally intended it for. And it's the $25,000. We're probably going to be cutting some checks to NTN to do the prep work on a pavilion that they're ultimately going to have a maintenance or operating agreement with us for. But it's the only way we're getting a contractor to do any kind of work. They have paid staff that they could reprioritize to this project, and it's happening. Trees are coming down. We're to the point where we're almost going to have to tell Jer, who's out there doing the work almost by himself, you have to stop because we don't have the next permit yet. We're working on them, but we're hoping that we can keep up with these guys.
When do you think you can actually start?
Right now, as John mentioned, just with us working to get permits, we do have some timelines in place. We would like to pour concrete here by the end of September, first week of October, just before it gets too cold. And then from there, from basically the first week of October till the end of November, we would be building the actual structure itself, along with the storage structure on the backside for the snow growing equipment.
And I think you said it's
Exciting.
30 by 30,
Yeah, it does.
right?
30 by 36 is the current footprint that we're trying to put into. I think they found a beautiful space. I was there the day it happened. I take no credit for it. We just went out and looked at the original location and realized that there's a lot of bedrock in that area. We needed a bigger contiguous space to fit it all in. And the architect who originally did the first site plan looked at the spot we found and she liked that one too. So that makes me feel a little better. We just need the green light to fund some of the things that we have to pay for, and truth be told, some of the gravel is already ordered so that we can get the concrete trucks in to pour the slab.
So I was gonna ask next. And that'll be for the parking area and the road?
The access to the pavilion itself will end up being one of the parking lot access points, driveways, yes, off of the Well Road.
So when we have power and water, you said out there, right?
Power for sure. Lenny's got the application in for the service to be installed with BLP. We're not sure about water yet. I think the biggest concern we have is how shallow the bedrock is out there. Can we actually keep a water line from freezing? There's a good chance if we ever have toilet facilities out there, it'll be pit toilets that have to be pumped. And that means probably no hand washing facilities, would be sanitizer instead.
Well, that works, and people are used to that too. Maybe less messy.
Is it possible to have water there? Maybe, we'll see.
One step at a
Seasonal,
time.
maybe, seasonal
Yeah,
water.
Yeah.
maybe. But the power thing is good too, for, you know, especially working in that shed or whatever, in the back.
Yeah, they
And for you
definitely
guys,
need-
You have to have it,
Right.
right?
Power for outlets and lights.
Yeah, yeah, for your power. So do you have like one person that's the nailer and another person that holds the logs, or do you, because you haven't worked together, right?
Correct.
This is all new for you too.
I will say, I won't speak for Marcus, but other group members and myself have various construction backgrounds, which is good. So we're working with that, ranging from residential building all the way up into high rises in downtown Chicago, working as a project manager. So we haven't quite crossed that bridge yet. I will say we are very eager to get going, and I think no matter who's holding or nailing, hammering, everyone will have their part, and everyone will work together and get this done and have something for the community for many years to come. That's the goal.
I will say it's kind of we have our roles within our team. So for instance, right now Jack is acting as like our project manager, our team lead. I'm dealing with our design primarily. I'm the liaison between the NMU team as well as the architects. And then we have the other three members of our team. Dan's our builder. Dan's a carpenter, so he knows his stuff building, and he's taking the lead on that. Not to say we don't know what we're doing, but it's everyone has their strength. Everyone has their strengths, right? And we know that,
Right.
and we can recognize that Dan is the strongest builder out of the five of us, so he's taking the lead there. And then we're all just planning on working together, using our strengths to make this structure. Because if we all just want to go at it gung ho, it's never going to get done. And we recognize that, and we're looking forward to it.
I will say too, Moses Waite, one of our team members, actually worked for NTN last summer, the summer previous, so he was very close-knit and has some contacts there, which worked out really well for our team as far as meeting the NTN team as well as the Marquette Township team, kind of everyone blending together, worked out very well.
Oh, how exciting. John, did you have
I don't think, I just don't want us to go very far beyond this without appreciating and making note of the commitment that's been made by you folks and all the people involved. So I thank you for that, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity and I think we'll be working with great people. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you, I
have to
appreciate
get a
that.
little nameplate too. Don't let anybody forget that.
Okay, perfect.
We thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So I just have one, I just have one comment, it's not really a question, but, I know how important it is to keep track of what's happening. So make sure someone's a photographer, make sure someone is doing a daily log, make sure that at the end of this, you come with a very nice PowerPoint presentation. I'm sure NTN will want that, and I'm sure we'll want that here, so we can publicly thank you and let people know. So,
Good idea.
so that's an important piece. I had students and interns many years, and I always required that of them, and the presentation came to a group of people. So please do that, otherwise it gets lost.
That's actually Maddie Bell's, her big thing. She's keeping our books as well as documenting our process.
And some of us may come out
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
and snap a couple pictures, but, you know, it's your project, and you have a great group here of people to, this is a partnership.
Absolutely.
This is a like thing you take to MTA.
Yeah.
Without the dedication of the team outside of the NMU, John, as well as NTN, and Barry Bowles Architects, it would be impossible to get this done in our time frame, but just dealing with the energy and feeling how excited everyone else is to get this done, that's what gives us and reinforces our confidence that this
We're
will be done.
excited, I'm excited,
Yeah,
I'm really
Yeah,
excited.
I will say the community support has been phenomenal. I'm from Chicago, and there would definitely not be this much community support.
We're sorry that.
I love students, it's really important.
No, our goal with this project is kind of run it, whether it's a small pavilion or a giant building. We want to have our meeting minutes, we'll have our agendas for meetings, we'll have our scope of work, we'll have weekly progress photos to send, and at the end, we'll throw it all into a presentation. And you guys are more than welcome to come. We will be
Great.
presenting at the end of the semester.
Well, we will, you'll just
Absolutely.
have to let us know, yeah.
We'll put it on the website
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
for as long as we can keep it there.
Any other questions for the boys?
Randy.
Yes, Randy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to authorize the budget amendment not to exceed $35,000 as requested.
Support.
Okay. Motion and lots of support.
Yeah.
Any other
We're excited
comments?
too. Good job.
Okay, are we doing the budget amendment separately then?
Yes.
Not part of this, okay. So all in favor for this?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, then we'll do the budget amendment to help pay for this.
So the budget amendment, 2024-03, authorization is requested to increase expenditures in the general fund, wastewater, water funds, and the solid waste fund. Expenditure increases for the general fund are due to the replacement of IT server switches and pickleball court at Lions Field. It will be also for this project. The wastewater increases result from incorrect original planned budget that did not include the SAAS hosting service. The water fund expenditure increase results from Cox booster station study. Request to solid waste expenditures as a result from the purchase of township garbage carts for the residents. And I make a motion to approve that.
Support.
Okay, any questions?
It's a roll call vote.
Yep. We're good? Okay, go ahead.
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Everson.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow.
Yes.
Trustee Kidda.
Yes.
Trustee Marks.
Yes.
Supervisor Durant.
Yes,
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
excellent. Go for it.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Gonna be honest, we weren't waiting.
Gotta follow procedure, that's okay. Okay, now I have a request. You can see by the packet in 8C that I've been asked to join another committee. You might remember a couple of years ago, this started with half a dozen or so communities putting some couple $1,000s in each to figure out what we needed to do for housing. Out of that, we also got a land bank grant and hired a housing specialist. When I say we, I mean the county. And authorized a total market analysis of what our county needs. And those people who contributed funds to that and were singled out in the total market analysis and got that data. So I still have that book in my office. So anyway, that evolved to the point that now that we have the TMA and we can provide it for bankers and developers and financial people and realtors and say, yes, Marquette County does need 1,000 homes a year, and what that looks like, and how to do it and what's necessary. This ad hoc intergovernmental task force is kind of going to dissolve. The partnership will still take the lead, the Lake Superior Community Partnership, and run this new entity through its foundation. So it's a 501c3. They've actually come up with a logo, and they're calling it Housing Now, Marquette County Housing Now. So they were expecting to pull resources from the county. They wanted somebody to represent townships, somebody to do county representation from the land bank. They wanted planning, state, they want city representation, they want utility people, economic people, career trades, building people, contractors, home builders, finance, realtors. So it's a pretty aggressive group of maybe 24, 20 people. How it'll function, I have no idea with that many people. But they're asking that I represent townships. John?
I move to appoint Supervisor Lynn Durant to the Marquette County Housing New Leadership Council for a term to be determined by the newly formed coalition.
Support.
Thank you, thank you. Any questions, comments?
I think we need to do it.
They're pumped. I mean, this group is,
It's come.
yeah. You guys went to the, you got part of it, Linda did, and to kind of see what, with the release and what everybody else is doing. So they've got state money and they're ready to go and try to do, you know, whatever we can. Get some homes built. So don't leave town. You've got lots to do. Any other questions? They sent the survey monkey today, who can meet when. So they must have the group kind of put together as who's they're gonna choose. And I told them I'd let them know in the morning if you guys said yes.
Well,
And that would be open to all contractors and stuff for the
There'll be,
projects?
yeah, the TMA, everybody can access that.
Yeah, okay.
They can use that and take it to the bank, as it were. And then these all of these entities will be represented by somebody that they picked. Like I said, I would have townships. Somebody else has the land bank, somebody else has real estate, somebody else has banking, somebody, you know,
Contract.
so.
roll call.
Oh, okay. Roll call vote he's asking for.
Okay, trustee Marks,
Yes.
trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Ketta,
Yes.
secretary is yes, and supervisor Durant.
Can I vote?
You
Yes.
can vote, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. I will keep you informed. Okay, budgets. Now that we've transferred some money, let's talk about scheduling budgets.
So this was my thought. I noticed this year, our partner to the east, City of Marquette, did their budget in one day. They had a meeting from 9 a.m. to about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, broke for lunch, and got basically everything knocked out in one day. And I see no reason why we couldn't do that also. And then we'd still have time before our first December meeting to smooth anything out if it needs to be before that. So I'm thinking sometime about mid-October. Because we don't have the budget. The budget's almost ready, but it's not quite there yet, I think. Right, John?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, number one, I had a recent distraction kind of pull me away from my progress on it, and no excuses, that's just how it goes sometimes. And we are also doing the budget in BSNA software this year, which is learning as we go, so it's taking a little bit longer. When it was the spreadsheets the old way, we could have everything laid out on the table and cross-reference the things that need to, because we have funds going from the general fund into public improvement funds. You gotta make sure that the lines match in both so that you don't end up with goofy numbers at the end, and we're not quite there yet. I think I have about a $300,000 shortfall I have to figure out. So it's not like we're rolling in cash here. Until I figure that out, I can't tell you confidently the budget is ready. So I'm about halfway through the cost centers in the general fund, going through them one at a time. And Kim just showed me a way to improve my efficiency on that today. So we're getting there. I would say in the next couple of weeks for sure, we should have draft budgets for everyone to start looking at, absolutely.
We don't have to set a date.
No, no, just a thought, if the board would be willing to do that.
Absolutely.
We're ready.
And then,
Knock it down and get her done.
we can do that mid-October. I'll put this on the next agenda, and then we can kind of, you get your calendars together, maybe we can pick a date in mid-October. And it's better for everyone, and the public, it'll be taped or recorded, and, it's better for everyone to do it in one day, and
Staff-wise too.
staff-wise too.
They're here.
Right.
If they need to go get materials, they
Yeah.
can.
Good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
We
So
could-
no action needs to be done tonight, just kind of a thought, throw it out there.
Good idea.
As the person that has to do the most talking at that meeting, I think it's a great idea. One thing you do need to be aware of, this being our first year preparing the budget in the software, it is going to look different than the spreadsheets. But the software doesn't make
Errors.
errors like spreadsheet formulas can. So we're hoping that this is going to be a more perfect budget, and that there's not going to be things missing or not adding up right that we find out about too late.
I think it's a great idea. Like you said, if we need another meeting, we just have one.
Yeah.
Or like a wrap-up even.
Yeah, I think, well, everyone has the opportunity at the public hearing, and there is time before that to talk about it, before we approve it, so. And actually, next meeting too, we're probably gonna do the tax sheets for tax levies too.
4029?
Yes.
Those sheets?
Yeah, we have to do that next meeting.
Okay, and I'll do the budget.
So just kind of think of your calendars for October, and I'll have my days that I'm off, that we can do that.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Roads Committee, I think they had a meeting, but they didn't have a quorum, is that right?
I was out of town, so I
Okay.
wasn't able to attend.
No quorum is
No,
correct for
that's what I
those.
thought
Yep.
I heard. Okay. Any other comments from the public that you want to add? Okay. Announcements, anybody? Randy?
I've been getting a few requests for election inspectors, but I've sent information back to the folks that now I've consolidated 2 precincts. I have more than enough workers here right now. So I will put their applications on file, and if I do need them, I will call them. But they can work anywhere in Marquette County once they're trained, so I will provide their names to the other municipalities. And early voting starts on October 26th, and it'll be at 7, it'll start at 8 to 4 for the 9 days preceding the general election.
Absentee ballots.
Yeah, absentee ballots, I should get those. I haven't proofed them yet, but that should be coming within the next week. They'll be printed, and hopefully I'll have those out either the end of September or the first week in October. Now that I have help, it'll go smoother, so we'll get those out. And I do have I am planning, and I talked to Andrew, I am planning to have a little verb on the October calendar that goes out to the folks. And the slogan's gonna be, don't wait in line on election day, take advantage of early voting.
Yeah, since we're one precinct and
Yes.
one building.
Because I've looked at historical trends, and, this does bring out the most number of voters. And we are a little bit limited in space compared to, in the past, so if we had everyone show up, I would have some lines. So, probably not horrible, but you don't know what the weather is gonna be like that time of year, and I don't wanna see folks standing outside if they don't have to, so. Take advantage of early voting. The workers will even appreciate it, because otherwise they're pretty bored.
Give them something to do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's all I have.
Okay, any other announcements? Well, let me tell you a couple things from the county board last night I wanted to point out. I forgot to tell you. Brownfield. They, as you know, the county gets marijuana tax money like we do. Of course, they get more than we do, but they had budgeted, did they say they budgeted 890,000 or they got 890,000? I think they got 890,000 last year and they're budgeting 800 this year, which is kind of what John does to be conservative, because they know that it's going to kind of keep going down. That's what the trend is expected to be. So anyway, the chair suggested maybe they do something special with the funds. And his recommendation was that they pull a percentage or some amount out and put it into some kind of safety something. Whether that's police or fire or training or grants or something. So they just had the initial conversation of, should we do this? And he had 4 different motions. And they said yes, they did want to do that. The second thing I think was how much. They kind of decided on 50% of it. Some of the discussion was, let's start low, like at 10, and then we can increase it if we have to. Because like we do, they take the money and they just put it in the general fund. So rather than have it get lost or used up for something that's, it's important, and obviously they have bills to pay too. But it's extra revenue, kind of the way we figured it.
Yep.
So they decided on 50%. They were gonna set up kind of a group. They wanna have public input. They wanna have an open meeting so people can come in and give their ideas on how this should be used. One of the biggest suggestions that commission put out was to have 24-hour road patrol in the county. Because I don't know if he said we've never had it. We don't have it now and haven't had it for years, but they just think that that's important. So whether that would mean, hiring multiple people or one or whatever.
What do they mean by that?
We don't have coverage over the county through the sheriff's department 24/7.
But there's coverage, if the sheriff's department isn't there, the state police are there.
But they're limited as to where they can go, is what he said.
The state police are limited as to where they can go?
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me either.
No.
Well, maybe I misunderstood it.
Well, maybe they missed.
But they can't cover something. Either they're limited somehow.
Well, it certainly would be something to explore.
I can listen to the meeting again, just
Well,
to
no,
make sure I
I
didn't
mean,
miss it.
they're not going
Yeah.
anywhere.
But anyway, they're trying to figure out the best use of these funds. So they will have some kind of public, whatever, notice or forum, or I don't know how
Well,
they're gonna do it.
They could increase their expenditures to upset.
Yeah,
that's
really.
true.
Because
then we wouldn't do it.
Because
Yeah.
upset is not funded by any municipality, by
Yeah.
now. And I'm sure that even if they took $100,000, that would help that cause out a lot.
Yeah, it's a
And
great
then
idea.
we'll relieve townships and everyone else from having to put money into that.
In the cities, if they
Mhm.
could fund upset with that, makes a
I-
good use of that
I
money.
think the argument I just heard is counterproductive. It just
Takes it from
makes
one-
somebody else pay for the same
Yeah.
amount of money and they're still underfunded.
I don't think
That's
they
what I
would be
heard.
underfunded then. I think the intent would be that they would be funded well and not underfunded.
Hopefully that would be the case either way.
Well, right, yeah, and,
And I don't know what
that
the
money's
budget
gonna
is.
decrease, that marijuana money's gonna decrease,
Yeah.
yeah, a
Well,
lot.
and they talked about the EMS, one of the agenda items had the gentleman there from 131, the county
Yeah.
dispatch. And it was an agenda item, so he was covering that, but they did bring him back up and say, you know, maybe this means, I don't know, whatever, and that's the way the chair said. These are just ideas I'm throwing out, you know, so people have an idea what he was trying to accomplish.
Well, I think they should talk to Tim Scholander and see what his budget is for the year and see if they could cover part of that. That might help.
So if they're budgeting 800,000 and they have 400 to spend, that can be spread out pretty good.
It's
So
a
I
one-time thing,
did-
though. That's
Well,
not-
and that's the
yeah.
problem with funding people. You know, if you
Right.
try to hire, that was my very first thought.
Mhm.
Because we even talked about using that for payroll, and it
Right.
doesn't make
Not
sense,
that
because
good.
as it goes down or disappears,
Mhm.
then what do? Fire the people? So if you put it either in equipment or something like that, or training, extended training or something,
Even training is hard, you know.
that's still
It's
tough
kind
to
of
me.
like has to be something visible the community can see.
Yeah.
I just put this
Like
money
pickleball
into
carts.
park development and we're getting a new playground and they can see that and you know what, they're happy, but
Yeah,
I agree, when you put it into people,
it's hard.
it's not something I see.
It's
Pickleball courts.
unsustainable over time.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
That's the problem. And they didn't say that, so that was just me thinking that. So that's one big thing. A couple meetings ago, because they meet twice a month too, but a few meetings ago, they also decided they were gonna move forward with jail issues. Whether that means a new building or remodeling or moving or whatever. So they've got a group of people together and they are gonna move forward. They have, the undersheriff got up and gave his report and talked about how many people are in the jail every day and how overpacked they are. And I think they said they had typically, what did they say, 80 or 90, I thought I had it on here, 80 or 90 beds. Oh, 90, they had a population of 90 last night, and I think they have, I don't wanna say that, I don't know if it was room for 80 or room for 90, but they're typically running around 80. I have a feeling it's 80 is supposed to be their max. So they're gonna jump into it. The vice chair was the one who brought this up a few meetings ago, and said, we need to do something. So, I mean, they don't have any funding yet, they don't have anything, this is all preliminary.
But they've got the support of the county board for this.
Yes, they're moving forward with
That's
something.
huge right there,
Yeah.
just getting their support,
Yeah.
and moving forward with
Because
it.
apparently they've been talking about it for 20 years, he said.
They have, yes.
And I remember at one point, they were actually talking about moving downtown, and they were actually talking about taking the Shopko building and buying that.
Too late.
And building, yeah, this was a few years ago.
Yeah.
But, so they have been just talking and talking, and
Like
so
I said,
they are moving
that's-
forward. I did want to let you know that. And they did an appointment for the Brownfield, that's what it was. The Brownfield Development Authority had a slot open to finish a term, I think it was. I can't read my own notes, because I was writing too fast. They had 2 applicants, and Chris Germain was chosen as the appointment to fill that term. I think it's till the end of the year, I'm not positive, don't quote me on that. So those were the kind of main 3 things that I wanted to let you know about. Any other announcements?
Just a reminder for the master plan survey.
Yes,
If
good
anybody
point.
would like to fill that out yet, there's still the opportunity to do that.
Until the end of September is my understanding from the planning commission meeting, that'll be open till then. And there are paper surveys available here at the township hall if you choose that.
Good, yeah. Okay, managers report?
I don't know that I have anything else to add, other than we are diligently working on the budget. In between, progress meetings, ordering materials, site preparation, and honestly, there's very little management on my part. It's just playing my role, and it's not just me, it's Lenny, it's members of his crew. Just like they have 5, we probably have 5, NTN has 4 or 5, and they might have to summon a bunch of volunteers at some point. We might have to try. Getting a concrete slab poured is gonna take a little bit of expertise, but a lot of grunt work and just takes bodies. That is the critical path on the timeline here, is getting that slab poured by the end of September. And they say that they'll get as much of the rest of it done as they can before weather turns foul on us. So we're gonna do everything we can to not disappoint them.
Are you thinking you could use volunteers, or would that be kind of too hard to?
If we do,
manage?
it will probably be we're thinking maybe a concrete pour on a Saturday, just because that's when most of them will be available. I actually talked to the ready-mix supplier today, and he said, oh, so September 22nd, he knows I'm in town that weekend. Because he's going where I'm going on the other weekends. We'll see what happens there. I think it really it comes down to getting a whole bunch of people that can horse some concrete around with come-alongs, get it screeded, whether it's with a 2x4 or other means, and then somebody that can finish it well enough for an exterior slab condition and get it cured quick enough so that they can start putting some load on it.
How about the clearing part of it? Do you need people to pick up rocks or anything? I mean, I don't know what's involved.
Right
with
now,
that.
I would
Cutting
say
trees
no.
and- Okay.
It's going to be paid staff helping with that because it is a safety issue with trees coming down. And right now, it's one person with a mini excavator and a person on the downstream end limbing and cutting the trees into logs so they can pile everything off to the side until we figure out where it's going. I suspect at some point that those logs will probably either be turned into lumber or firewood for somebody. We just don't have a plan for it yet. It may ultimately end up becoming part of the agreement for the parking lot. Whoever clears the remainder of the property for the parking lot is able to take that for whatever they want as part of their compensation. Doesn't amount to much, but it has some value, at least as firewood, if nothing else.
Mhm. Okay. Any questions for John? Okay.
Thank you, by the way, for the funding. That's a very critical part for sure. And you will see all of the invoices because they'll be part of your monthly approval of the bills.
Okay. Motions, Randy, please.
First motion was the consent agenda as amended, that was approved. The second motion was to approve the regular agenda as amended, that was approved. The third motion was to approve the chip seal invoice, and that was approved. The fourth motion was to approve the budget amendment for the Well Road Trailhead, that was approved. The fifth motion was to approve the budget amendment 2024-03, and that was approved by roll call vote. Sixth motion was to approve the appointment of Lynn Durant to the Housing Now Leadership Council, and that was approved.
Okay, so next meeting, we'll have the 4029s to approve for the tax millages. We'll set a budget date, and you will also have some reading to do. We have assessing resolutions and policies to put through. And Bill will be here, the assessor, to explain it to you. I can tell you now, but I've talked enough.
Okay.
So that'll be on the next budget. Any other comments?
The only quick comment I have is I remember last year when we approved the budget, there was a resident here complaining about the less than $10 increase for the year in utilities and claiming that we weren't transparent in our budget hearings. And I'm just going to reinforce again, for the last 14 years I've been here, we've been very transparent with budget hearings and what we do as far as the budget. So I would challenge anyone to find different than we're doing now, because everything is open, and I have talked to the superintendent of public works, and I don't think the increases are gonna be reasonable this year again. So I just don't wanna see someone in January coming and saying the 12, just for example, the $12 a year is gonna break the budget for an increase for the whole year.
I've been here almost 5 years. We're in September, sometime this month, I hit my 5-year anniversary with the township. We've had one utility rate increase in those 5 years. I think that's pretty good. COVID saved us 1 year because our expenses were lower than normal. We had multiple retirements, so budgets, utility rates were being balanced on the backs of staff. Just to put it bluntly, I mean, we retired high-end employees, replaced them with low-end employees to the utility customers' benefit. We don't have retirements every year, and please don't give us COVID again, right? That kind of situation. Unfortunately, the cost of everything is going up, and we have to cover our costs first. And that's just unfortunately how we have to operate. So our utilities are run just like a business. They can't run in the red. They have to have money set aside for emergencies, for future maintenance, replacement, all that stuff. So we don't just arbitrarily raise rates. We do it very carefully and based on what the budget dictates we have to do.
And some of our surrounding communities have seen, double-digit increases over the last few years. I mean, we're talking cents possibly, It's not compared. Dan?
I can just, first of all, I'm sorry I missed the last meeting. I've been busy the last couple of weeks, and I did not watch the last meeting. I don't know if something was done with the tennis court yet and the pickleball. Can somebody enlighten me on that? And I haven't been by it.
They're working on it this week.
Okay.
They're fixing all of the areas that need to be repaired before they put down the new surface. And the surface is some sort of epoxy polymer type of squeegeed product. They mix the color into it. The whole thing is done in one color, and then they come back and put the stripes on.
And that'll be red or blue?
White for the tennis,
Or the lines?
yellow for the pickleball.
The lines.
Oh, yes, the lines. I can't remember if it's green or blue. I think we picked green.
Okay. And then secondly, I know we've got something coming up with that 48 unit housing development they have nothing's moved forward with that yet for payment to us or anything?
No, they've got their preliminary site approval from the planning commission with conditions, so.
PUD approval.
Yes.
Preliminary PUD approval.
Okay.
They're looking at the recommendations from the commission.
Perfect. And then with that, I'd like to make one last motion that we adjourn.
Oh, well, we have to actually,
Yeah, I have a couple things.
yeah,
Oh,
But we have to-
I'll wait then.
we have to.
I know I missed it last time. Somebody else had to step in and do my job.
Yeah.
Carl?
We have to do a closed session too.
Pardon
We
me?
have a closed
Yeah,
session.
closed
We have to
session.
go.
I didn't even read that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that some people had some comments one time about people running the stop sign by Meyer. And I did see someone there today watching to make sure people weren't running the stop sign, so thank you for that.
Great.
You were noticed.
Good job, Mike.
Now, the second thing is Ontario Avenue is progressing with being coordinated, reconstructed. And so continuing to make sure the traffic is flowing around through Wright Street and some of the other streets, so be patient. School has started. The third thing is the MTA is holding an event here in Marquette. And if you would like to attend, Lynn said that we can just email
Kim.
Kim,
And I left
and
her a
she
note
will
today.
register us. So I would encourage you to go. If for nothing else, there is a legislative update in the morning. And we all want to know what our legislative people are thinking, okay? And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks for that reminder, I was gonna let this on my list too. Anything else?
I'd like to go to that too.
Yep, just email Kim.
Let Kim know. I asked her maybe to email everybody and so we can do it at once, and she doesn't have to do this 6, 7 times.
If you can't find Kim's email, mine is fine, I can forward it to her.
And
Well,
that's
if she's
for
gonna
staff,
email
too.
us, then I would assume
Yeah,
she.
because I didn't know if anybody contacted her, I just left her a sticky note and said, are you in the process of doing this?
Show of hands, who wants Kim to register them? Lynn, Dan, Carl?
Yeah, Sherry registered me.
Okay.
The dates were what again?
October 3rd,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
October 3rd.
It is a Thursday.
I'm half a hand. I gotta check.
Well, at least if she's aware that you're interested.
Yes. What's that on? Is that a weekend?
No, it's a Thursday.
Thursday
Thursday.
at Northern.
Okay. I'm 2 weeks behind. I'm sorry.
It starts at 8:30, I don't know if you'll be up by then.
I was up at 6:30 this morning, thank you very much.
Okay,
It's still dark out too.
All right.
you want to do motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion we adjourn.
No.
Oh, to go into closed session. I'm
You
sorry.
gotta read, I'll read it and then you can second.
All right.
So I'll move to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, subsection C, to consider the purchase or lease of real property up to the time an option to purchase or lease that real property is obtained.
Support.
He said I was gonna support.
Roll call. Take whoever you
Clerk
want.
Rattari is yes, trustee Marks,
Yes.
trustee Everson.
Yes.
Trustee Kidda,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Okay, we are in closed session at 6:52 PM.